Hey, welcome back to The Champion's Mind. I'm your host, Nirra Fields. Today's episode is for anyone who's been hit with a setback that made them question everything. You thought you were on track, everything was lining up, and then it all falls apart. Maybe you didn't get picked, maybe you got overlooked, maybe someone made you feel like you just weren't good enough. If you ever been in that space, this one's for you. Because what I've learned is that those moments aren't the end of the story. They're often where real growth begins. Have you ever had a season where you're working hard, you're working your ass off, you're putting in the time, but nothing feels right? The rug gets pulled from under you? Well, this episode is for you. For the people who have done the work but weren't given credit or weren't given flowers, even for all the time and the discipline they put in leading up to it. I'm going to talk about my first Olympics experience. And for most people, when I go to Olympics, all they see is the Olympics. Like, oh my God, you've been to the Olympics. Like, you've done it. Like, you're the 1%. But what most people don't see is the journey that it took to get there. So I'm going into my probably sophomore year at UCLA, and I'm feeling really good about myself. I just had a great season, was averaging the highest ever average, 17 a game, was averaging 6 rebounds, and was really on track to be one of the people in history to score a bunch of points at UCLA, and I was one of the best players on our team. So I had all of this confidence. And on top of that, I get an invitation to try out for the women's Olympic team. I'm super pumped. So after that season, I'm working my butt off, literally right after the UCLA season, in the gym at 6 a.m., going to class, coming back in the evening, getting up extra shots, recovering, resting. I was really putting in the work. And then I get to the tryouts in Canada. I'm super confident. I'm going to make this team. I had no doubt I was going to make that team. I'm going through the tryouts. I'm literally busting ass, busting everybody's ass. I'm one of the youngest girls there. I'm killing it. And then it gets to the point where we're probably 2-3 weeks in and they're closer to making cuts. And I had all the confidence that I was going to get picked. So how it works is they usually have meetings with individuals, and they'll let you know if you made the team or not individually in this room where all the coaches are. So it's a day of cuts, and I'm yeah, I made this. So I go to the room, I'm expecting to be okay, you're an Olympian. They're gonna tell me this at least. So I get into the room, and it's kind of intimidating because all the coaches are sitting there, and I'm just walking up to the chair, ready to sit down and hear that I'm gonna become an Olympian. And they told me Nirra, you did a great job, you were really good, but you did not make the team. And I was literally what? What do you mean? So after they told me I didn't make the team, honestly, everything they told me afterwards, I was just checked out. So I didn't make the team, and I go back and I'm you know what? I was super upset. And then I told my coach at UCLA at the time, Corey Close, yeah, I felt like it did so good, but I didn't get rewarded for it, or I didn't make the team. So we go on to that season. We do really well. And then the next year, they asked me to come back to the tryout. And I'm so mad. I have all this resentment. I'm just nah, I'm not coming back. You cut me the first time. I was just being petty. And then my coach, Corey Close, sat me down and was you know what? What's the worst that could happen? You go in, you have an opportunity to prove to them that you got better over the year. And if they cut you, they cut you. But you're not going to lose anything by going to it. If anything, you're giving yourself an opportunity to make the team. And after sitting down and really contemplating that and considering it, I was she is right. I have nothing to lose. It's going to help me get better. Why not go? So this time I go into the second tryout and I have no expectations. Honestly, if anything, I didn't think I was going to make the team from what happened before. So go in and have no expectations, going in with an open mind to really just learn and get better. And then from there, I make the team, and it's my first Olympics. And I'm super stoked because I never had this as a goal, but it just happened along the journey. But I had set it to be my new goal. So I was really confident going into that. I thought I could help the team in a really big way, in ways that I knew was unique to the individual skill set I had. And yeah, I was really excited for that opportunity to represent Canada and be at the Olympics. So I get to my first Olympics, I get to the first training camp, and it's a new environment. And if anybody knows me, I grew up in the hood. So I wasn't expecting to get in there and having to adapt to a new culture. My coach, she was from Saskatchewan. I'm from Montreal. I've never been to Saskatchewan. And growing up in the hood, obviously, there's a lot of just familiarities that I was used to, that I didn't understand until I got to Team Canada and what that looked like. So most people think like you just have to perform on the court. There's only one game you really need to play. But what people don't see is there's actually two games you need to play. And this is what I learned when I got there is there's the game on the court. Obviously, you have to be performing at your best, be one of the best on the court. But what people don't see is the politics. And that's the second game. And that's where I really had this rude awakening where I had to learn to adapt to people who, one, didn't understand or never knew an environment that I came from, and also having to figure out the environment that they came from was going to create some type of misunderstanding. And basketball is not just what you do on the court, but it's how you relate to other people that you're playing with, whether it be your coaches, whether it be the players on the court themselves. Like, you really have to understand how to be in relationship with them and how to, one, bring the best self, your best self, in a way that they can understand. And I knew that just because I was very unique in the sense that I was probably the only person who came from the hood, aka the hood, that was where I really had to understand how to adapt to them. And most people call it code switching, and I would say it's somewhat similar to code switching, but my coach really just didn't understand the type of player I was and how I grew up. So I had to learn how to, one, understand where she came from, and that takes a level of empathy. So just really getting to know her, understanding her situation, where she came from, and then understanding how can I create trust? How can I build a relationship? So if I can do that off the court, she would allow me to play on the court. Because initially I was just sitting on the bench. Me and her didn't really have a relationship. And I felt like that was hurting my ability to show and prove to her that I could be somebody who is very useful on the team. So what I started first, which I didn't have prior awareness to, was building a relationship with her, really trying to understand her, trying to show her who I am in a way that she can understand. And that was the game I first had to learn how to play, the political game. From there, I already knew I was a great basketball player. So that actually allowed me to get on the court. And once I was on the court, although played little minutes in the beginning, the more time I spent on the court, I was able to prove to her that I am somebody she should have on the court. I am somebody she can trust. I am somebody who can help this team win. And from there, that's how the relationship built over time. So what I really want to emphasize is the fact that in learning how to adapt to an environment and understanding how people perceive me and understanding how to show up in a way that helps me be more understandable to people who may not understand me and where I came from, I really started to question who I was as a player, what my value was, and if I could be somebody of value to that team, being that I was so unique. And the more I felt like I was trying to adapt myself to fit a perception that they needed me to be in order to understand, the more I felt like I was losing myself. And when I came to that realization, I really just understood that some people might not understand you, and that's okay. And being unique, being different from most of the people on my team, that was going to be my strength. And that was going to help me, one, contribute something different to the team and to really embrace that. So once I really just stood in that and I was able to be confident in that, obviously, like that's when I felt like I was really starting to come into myself. And as a result, that actually showed on the court. So just being able to be myself in a way that people can understand, but also being confident in the fact that if they don't understand, it's okay as well. But the big thing here is to embrace who you are, no matter how unique or different it is from people on your team. Just going back to that experience, it was really tough, like having to figure out how to bring myself and my authentic self in a way that people can understand, and then not questioning whether I was of value or if I could be accepted just as who I am. Those situations were really tough. And just having to go to a whole new environment, like I had never left home before that. And it was just another environment that I had to adapt to. But the key thing there was that I had to, one, know and have confidence in myself, but also not lose myself in the process. And not losing myself in the process was understanding things that, yes, maybe I could adjust about how I come across to other people or how I showed up to other people, being that they may not know exactly who I am or where I come from. And then understanding there's other things that are a part of my personality, that are part of who I am, that are non-negotiable, that I cannot build a facade around or recreate in order for somebody to understand. And going through that process allowed me to, one, show up authentically as myself, but also adapt to like whoever in that moment was talking to me or interacting with me. And that helped me, one, establish I guess, what is called like the more political game, and to understand that there is system, there is expectations, and in certain environments you can and cannot do things. And having that understanding and awareness helped me be better at the political game that we're all a part of, whether we want to be or not. It's another game. And once I came to the awareness that it's just a game, just like basketball is, and that I can get better at it, I can grow in that, and also not feel like I have to lose myself in the process, that's when I really started to put two and two together. And that's a lot of things that people don't see behind the scenes when they're watching Olympians on the court, on the field, or anywhere, that there is a game within a game that people are not very aware about, but help you, one, to get to the place where you are an Olympian. So the three major takeaways after everything I explained before was number one, seeing and learning the bigger game. Yes, performance is super important, but there's also other things that contribute and that will help you, one, be a person who is a high performer, but the bigger picture is, and the bigger game is the politics, the relationships, and having to navigate all of that. Learning that game, understanding how to relate to people, how to build relationship with people, how to connect with people, how to build trust. That game is just as vital, if not more vital, to you getting to a place where you can perform ultimately. The second key takeaway, separating your worth from other people's decision. I had to learn that because I got cut or because I wasn't able to make the first tryout for that team, that had no indicator of my worth. That maybe I just wasn't a great fit. Maybe the players that were there or the people that they had chosen just worked better together. But it wasn't something personal. It was just an area that I needed to get better at, and to take it subjectively and not personalize it and make it something that is about me and my worth. So learning that is actually another key takeaway. And the final takeaway, using that pain to fuel growth. Like, I went back and I had this chip on my shoulder. I was like, yo, if I'm going to go back to a second trial, or if they do call me back, I'm going to make sure that they notice how much I put into my game and how I got better. So just redefining the failure to give you fuel to push and to get better is number one key, and being able to use that pain to fuel your growth. Here are some actual tips you can use to apply to your life based on what I just told you. So tip number one is to name the setback or failure and ask yourself, how did it make you feel? Number two, challenge it. Really ask yourself, is this true? Number three, find ways to get your power back. It could be just in being able to say, yes, I didn't make the team, but I showed up. And to use that as a win to reaffirm the fact that you put in the effort, and that's what really matters. And number four, reflect on what that moment was teaching you. There's so much value and information in failure and setbacks that it could be something that propels you forward in the future. And then the final one is just understanding that you don't have to fit into a system that never had you in mind to begin with. So yes, it's okay to be unique. And yes, maybe sometimes you fail, but just knowing and understanding that people are unique and we're not all meant to fit into a system or a box will help you proceed forward and take that failure as something you can grow from. Setbacks suck. They shake you, they mess with your confidence, but they also expose what needs healing and show you what kind of strength you actually are made of. If you're in one of those seasons now, know this: the story's not over. And just because it hurts right now doesn't mean it's not growing you. This week, think about a time you're overlooked or underestimated. What did it reveal about you, and what did it teach you about how you move through the world? If this episode spoke to you, subscribe to the show so you don't miss the next one. And if someone you know needs a reminder that their setback doesn't define them, send this their way. Thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next one. And remember, your mindset is your power. Use it. Peace.